Any health-related information on the following show provides general information only. Content presented on any show by any host or guest should not be substituted for a doctor's advice. Always consult your physician before beginning any new diet, exercise, or treatment program.
For centuries, ancient cultures knew the secrets to longevity, vitality, and healing. Now, modern science is catching up. Ageless Blueprint is a podcast that will reveal the modern secrets of better health and a better life. Join Dr. Eldred Taylor here today and every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time on W4HC Radio at W4HC.com. As together we discover the secrets to better health through science and spirituality. A better life with Ageless Blueprint starts now. Here's your host, Dr. Eldred Taylor.
Hello, this is Dr. Taylor, and this is the Ageless Blueprint. Happy Wednesday morning to everybody, and I'm so happy that you're here. And, you know, sometimes I do these podcasts, and I wonder if anybody's actually listening or is anybody actually being helped by it. And I've gotten a lot of encouragement over the week, so it's telling me that, hey, maybe this is helping somebody, and if it can help, one person, then, the old song says, then my living shall not be in vain. I actually did a article on that in my Substack, but I'm so glad that you're here. And today I'm going to be more of the spiritual MD. This is the Ageless Blueprint. And, when I first came up with that name, I really didn't understand what I was saying, but, today, I'm really starting to understand what the Ageless Blueprint is, and what it really is a system that has stayed around for ages. If you look at how I start my podcast, you see that's a man. It's named Remy, and it's my wife. And what he's telling us is how that they have lived in the caves of Petra. They've lived there for over 500 years. And his grandmother just passed away at 100 years old. Now, they are so far away from modern medicine. They're so far away from the stressors that we deal with every day. They don't have a TV where they're looking at the news, so they don't know what the economy is doing. They don't know what world affairs. They don't know what wars are going on. They live in harmony with nature. And that is the Ageless Blueprint. And that has been the blueprint across all types of civilizations in India and in China, in Peru. All of them had this same blueprint where everything starts from the spirit. And that spirit controls the mind, and that mind controls the body. And I grew up in a totally different environment. Now, my dad was a Baptist minister, so I knew about religion. And I feel like my dad was a spiritual person, but I grew up with religion. And then I started to go to medical school and had to learn about science. And so when we're talking about science and spirituality, I was taught that those are two totally separate things. It was really is that if you were a scientist, or if you were a doctor or whatever, or if you learned about science, almost religion would almost reject you. And so what I'm trying to do is to say that these two things are intimately connected to each other. And modern science now, called quantum physics, is making that scientifically connected, so that finally I'm able to connect these two worlds that I've been in for 65 years. And it's just recently I've been able to do that. So today we're going to talk about, I'm going to be more of the spiritual MD. Now, I will tell you, I was just on a live Q&A last night, and one of the people on there said, hey, I was all interested in mind and body until my hormones got screwed up. And then, that means spirit and mind. And then my hormones got screwed up. And then all of that stuff got disconnected. So that's why I put these two together, because I do think that as your hormones changes your mind changes, and then that your connection with your spirit changes. So either way we want to go, but this time I want to go from the top to the bottom and not from the bottom to the top. All right. So I'm going to share my screen. I have some slides I want to share with you guys. And it's called The Kingdom Within. And it's really talking about, and I don't want to, again, I want to separate religion from spirituality, because I believe all religions end up pointing toward this one fact. Okay. So the kingdom within, the ancient secret every culture knew. That's why I'm saying this. You have to understand that if something has been a part of multiple cultures, great distances apart throughout the ages, there must be something to that. Things that aren't real, they will fade away. They will, all these, fads, even in medicine, these things, once they're popular and then they fade away. But there's some basic truths and basic understandings that have been connected to cultures all across the world for ages. And when I mean ages, I mean thousands and thousands of years. And so what I think is the missing connection is that what if the cure for sickness isn't found in a lab, but in alignment of your inner world? And that inner world is how you think and how you feel and your beliefs. How do you think about yourself? How do you feel about your situation? And what are your beliefs? Do you believe you have the power to change your reality or change your circumstances? Not let your circumstances control you, but you control your circumstances. All right. So the forgotten link: for centuries, healers across cultures understood something fundamental. Health isn't merely the absence of disease. And that's what I was taught. If you don't have a disease, then you're well. But that's not true. True health is the presence of inner harmony. Ancient wisdom viewed the body as a reflection of consciousness. Your body reflects how you think, where thoughts and emotions shape our physical reality. Modern medicine, in its pursuit of scientific precision, divided what ancient wisdom united, because we didn't think that we could measure spirit or measure this. But now with quantum physics, you're actually able to measure this. With all of these gadgets that I talk about, we're able to measure this. So we learn to treat symptoms with remarkable sophistication, yet somehow lost sight of the deeper truth that our ancestors held sacred. Modern approach focuses on physical symptoms and biomedical intervention. So we're asking people what their symptoms are, and we try to suppress them. We try to make them feel comfortable to get rid of the symptom for 24 hours. So you have to take the pill the next day. And we're doing it biochemically. We're trying to change what we think is matter with other matter. But what we're going to eventually get to is that we are not matter. We are energy. And the quickest way to change energy is by changing your energy. Okay, you can change it consciously. You can use other energy forms to change your energy, like light and sound. But anyway, ancient wisdom recognizes the interconnection of mind, body, and spirit. The outer world, including your health, reflects the inner world of your thoughts and emotions. And, I eventually, well, we're going to talk about that when we wrote the book, The Stress Connection, that 20 years ago, I felt this, but I really didn't totally understand it. Now I really, I really feel like I understand how your thoughts actually affect your biology. So stress and health. Now, 20 years ago, we wrote a book called The Stress Connection, because 20 years ago, I read one study that said 75 to 90% of all visits to primary care physicians are for stress-related complaints or disorders. Now, I read that and I was like, wow, 75 to 90% of the people who are coming, and this was 20 years ago. I really believe that it's 95% or more right now with all of the stressors that are going on in the world. Is that, wow, if I could totally understand stress, I would be right in my diagnosis on 75 to 90% of people. That's what I thought then. So I'm like, wow, I'm really going to study stress. And then, so that's what we did. So we revealed a crucial link often overlooked in traditional medicine. Emotional stress frequently precedes physical illness. And this was 20 years ago. And I've been practicing functional medicine, for that time. And I will tell you, in my office, I really believe it's 95%. Okay. Observing many patients, we found that nearly all women diagnosed with breast cancer experienced significant emotional stress in the 2 years prior, indicating a causal link. Now, this is almost 100% true. I will tell you, my sister passed away in 2016 from breast cancer, and she was under some stressors that I was unaware of, because I always wondered what the issue was, but they kept their issues private, and it really didn't come out till later. But I will tell you, almost every breast cancer patient, I was actually at a breast cancer survival group about 6 months ago. And I didn't ask, I just asked every woman there, it may have been 10 women there. I said, tell me what was going on 2 years prior to your diagnosis. Every last one of them had a significant stressful event, or several stressful events that happened in a short amount of time. It was divorces, it was parents dying, or having to take care of parents, and it was stressful on them, having problems with their children, or financial difficulties. They all had a story. And I will tell you, in the 20 years that I've practiced functional medicine, is that if I ask a person, hey, when did this illness start? They will give me a relative time, 10 years ago, 4 years ago, whatever. I ask them, what was going on 2 years prior to that? I will tell you, 75 to 90% of the time, they will give me a stress-filled story. So I believe it clinically, I believe it scientifically. There is a connection between the stress that you feel inwardly, it gets manifested in your biology. So major life problems or unresolved issues can trigger physical illness. Physical sickness, illness manifests from prolonged imbalance. And what happens, we're going to talk about this a little later, is when you are in the throes of the stress response, your cells are in chaos. You feel like you're in chaos, and your cells behave chaotically. And when they're behaving chaotically, they can't do the normal processes to keep you healthy. So you have an imbalance. So now every cell in your body is dysfunctioning. And it just depends on where your focus is, what system dysfunctions the most. Okay. So body chemistry changes. Stress hormones alter cellular function. Problems in your mind can cause problems in your body chemistry. Every illness tells a story of what's happening inside you. So if your mind is causing the problems, then that's the root of your problem. So what do you have to change in order to change your biology? If your mind caused the problem, we need to change your mind and how you think and how you feel, and then you should be able to return to that normal state. All right. So it all starts and ends in your mind. All right. So that's a realization. I've been practicing medicine for over 30 years. And that is a basic truth that I think should be taught to medical students the day they walk in the door, is that you have to understand the mind of your patients and what is going on with them. That's why nothing gets done in a 10-minute doctor's office visit. There's no way a doctor can help you heal if he's only talking to you for 10 minutes once a year or twice a year. So that's why I try to, my initial visit is at least 30 minutes, and a lot of times it's more. And with every visit, I'm trying to understand my patient more and more. All right. This is, I don't mean to spend too much time on that, but it's so important that you have control over your health if you can get control over your mind. And that's the hard part, is how do you get control over your mind? All right. So when harmony breaks, that's the biology of separation. Stress isn't just a feeling, it's a state of separation from our natural coherence. I always ask patients, I said, tell me the last time you felt normal. Okay. And they'll say, when I was in college, or before I got married, or whatever. So they know when they felt normal. and they know the processes that took them from normal to this. They'll tell you about the stressors. So you can, if you can remember how you felt when you felt normal, that's the first thing that can bring you back to that stage. Okay, so it's about remembering. So stress response activated. Whenever you perceive stress, and it's all about perception, because different people perceive stress differently. Okay, so I always give the example. I hate going to amusement parks because I don't like the feeling of being on a roller coaster or being on these rides. So just thinking about it causes stress with me. Now my kids, they when they were kids, they enjoyed it. They didn't think it was stressful at all. And so it's what you perceive. So you can be in a stressful environment and you can have a mind of peace and calm. All right. So that's how you have to think of it. You can't let your circumstances control how you feel inwardly. That's that kingdom within. All right. So the body perceives a threat and initiates protective mechanisms. And no matter what the stress is, your body thinks you're ready to run or fight. All right. So even if I'm just standing there looking at a roller coaster, even though I'm not riding it, if I feel stressed, my body is telling me, okay, if you need to run or fight, I'm ready. So what happens is all the blood leaves the gut and all of the internal organs, and it all goes to the muscles. All right. So your body is thinking, minute by minute survival. It's not thinking about growth and recovery. So all of the blood that should be taking in nutrients from your gut and protecting you with your immune system, it all gets thrown away because it's not worried about an infection 2 weeks from now. It's worried about right now. And so all of the long-term processes get turned off and everything is focused on running and fighting. And it's also creating chaos in all of the cells. So you get hormonal disruption. We wrote 2 books. We wrote a book called Are Your Hormones Making You Sick? When I started to understand bioidentical hormones. But then about 2 or 3 years later, I was on the speaking tour and I heard that study about 75 to 90% of all visits are for stress-related complaints or disorders. And I began to realize that even though I may have balanced the patient's estrogen and progesterone and testosterone, that some of these patients still didn't respond like I thought they were going to respond. And that's when we wrote the book, The Stress Connection, because we found out that, stress affects hormone disruption, but it also affects the immune system. It causes inflammation. It causes all kinds of problems. It causes problems with how you think, how you feel. So stress is connected to everything. And that book we wrote 20 years ago, my wife and I, because my wife's a psychiatrist and she understands this also. And so now what I'm finding out is that this is the key to stress disconnection. And I've said I'm on a crusade to correct the 20 years that I talked about the stress connection, and I haven't been talking about the stress disconnection. And that's what this is about. All right. So the key insight: when harmony breaks within us, biology breaks with it. The separation we feel emotionally manifests as separation within our cellular processes. Every illness is a biography translated into biology. The body speaks the story we haven't yet told. And what you have to understand, whatever health issue you are dealing with right now, it is a reflection of what has been happening in the past. All right. So don't look at where you are now and your health being a result of what is going on right now, because it takes time for your biology to show a symptom. So that's why I say it takes 2 years before you get the diagnosis of a breast cancer. Well, it may take 3 months before you get the diagnosis of having fibroids, or it may take 2 months before you get the diagnosis of having, a prostate issue or whatever. But whatever condition you're in now, it is a reflection of what has been going on in the past, not what is happening right now. But if you want to change your health in the future, what do you have to do? You have to change your mind right now. And then what you have to do is you have to think and feel and act like you want to be in the future. Because if the past has brought you here, if you keep acting and thinking and feeling the same way, it's going to take you into the future. But right now is the time where you can change your mind so that in the future you're going to reflect something different in your health or in your finances or whatever. It's all about how you are thinking. What is your mind reflecting? And it reflects it in the future. Now, you know, this is why I want to say, a lot of times when doctors or anybody starts talking about, this type of information, we call it new age, but it's not new age. It's actually old age. There's a saying, I don't know exactly who said it, but it said, if you want new ideas, read old books. Okay. So that's what I'm reading, old books. We went to Egypt so that we could read old books, which is the hieroglyphs. Okay. Those are blueprints. All right. And there's hieroglyphs in other areas like Peru and Turkey. And all of these are these ageless blueprints that talk about this. And I don't want to be real religious, but let's just say what the Bible says. It says the kingdom of heaven is within you. So whatever you feel heaven is, it is within you. So if heaven is good health or wealth or just peace, then it is in you. It's not it's not out there. It's in you. I used to think, well, anyway, so Jesus wasn't offering theology. He was describing physiology. This wasn't a metaphor. It was instruction manual for optimal human functioning. Is to know that whatever you desire, whatever your heaven is on earth, that if you believe that heaven is somewhere, I'm not going to get in that, but I'm just saying, if you want to experience heaven on earth, which is possible, it all begins in here. All right. So ancient wisdom, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all of these things shall be added unto you. Now, I used to read that literally, and I thought seek ye first the kingdom of God is going to the right church or having the right path. No, it's about seeking the kingdom of God in you, and then all things will be added unto you. Whatever you want added unto you begins with you seeking the kingdom of God within you. Align your inner state with peace and coherence first. When your internal kingdom operates in harmony, external manifestations, including health, naturally flow. What is your inner kingdom? It's your thoughts, emotions, and spiritual alignment. And this is being proven scientifically. Okay, so that's why I'm bringing this to you, because this is scientific fact. The ancient cultures didn't know how to prove it scientifically, but they understood how nature works. They studied nature, they studied the stars, and it taught them how God thinks and functions. And if they align with how God thinks and functions, then heaven can be experienced right here. So coherence, the vibrational frequency of peace and wholeness. So if you haven't been exposed to this concept, is that science is showing that everything that you see, feel, hear, touch, and includes yourself, is all energy. And energy vibrates at different frequencies. And according to what frequency you're vibrating at, that is what you are going to experience. If you vibrate at a frequency of fear and guilt and unworthiness, you are going to get a reality that causes fear, guilt, and unworthiness. If you can vibrate at a higher frequency, that means you think, you act, and you feel at a higher level, then that is what is going to be brought to you. That's what it says, all these things shall be added unto you. It's based on the frequency that you vibrate at. All right. Everything vibrates. And you have to understand, it's just like the TV or the radio, there's different frequencies that play different music. And if you want to change the channel of your life, you have to change the frequency. You have to change the channel. So outer health, physical wellness as a natural expression of inner harmony. The ancient teachers understood that modern medicine is only now rediscovering Consciousness isn't separate from biology. It directs it. All right. So this is Rebel. We got any questions? Anybody like totally lost? Because I know this is a, you know, it was a new concept to me a year ago or a year and a half ago. But any questions so far?
No questions, but JR said thank you.
Okay. All right. So I'll keep going. We're not ready for a break yet. I'm gonna go a little bit longer, then we'll go. All right. So ancient echoes across the world. Every culture understood as within, so without. So that what that means is whatever you feel inwardly is going to be expressed outwardly. You know, and that includes health, that includes your situations with relationships, with jobs, whatever. Is how do you feel? Do you feel like you are worthy of a promotion? Do you feel like you're worthy of a successful business? But if you go into a situation full of fear and guilt and doubt and unworthiness, you're going to fail. If you go into a situation thinking and feeling like this is for me, this is, I am vibrating at this frequency, then that is what becomes your reality. I took a course called Reality Creator that changed my life, that introduced me to this. I'm actually going to have him as a guest so that he can really talk about how you identity shift. And if you change your identity, you change your reality. So anyway, the principle of inner outer correspondence wasn't unique to one tradition. Across continents and millennia, healers and wisdom keepers recognize that our external reality mirrors our internal state. This universal truth appears in every major civilization. And again, these civilizations are continents apart, and they all were saying the same thing. Now, this became very evident when I went to Egypt. I went to Egypt in December of last year. And when I saw the hieroglyphs and the guides were telling me what was going on, and I've been looking at the Gaia channel to even understand this even more, is that this is what they were saying in Egypt. This is what these hieroglyphs are about. It's how do you change your inner world to reflect your outer world? So the temple architecture mirrored the human body, each chamber corresponding to an energy center. Healing meant restoring sacred geometry within. And if you're not familiar with the Gaia channel, you really need to watch that. There's a and this is on Prime Video. It's called Sacred Geometry, and it looks at how the universe follows mathematic laws and how creation is all about geometry and these different shapes and these sacred. There's 5 sacred shapes that create everything, and it's all made from energy. It's I know it's a hard concept to put your head around, but if you can kind of look at things in this manner, that is energy, it's about how you feel and your thoughts and everything, it really changes your perception of life. All right. So in India, they call it Brahman. The individual soul is identical to universal consciousness. Inner work transforms outer reality. And so in China, the Tao teaches perfect balance. Disease arises from disharmony between opposing forces. Healing restores the middle way. And when we talk about opposing forces, everything has opposites. You know, everything is based on positive and negative. We have a sympathetic nervous system, which is fight or flight. Then we have a parasympathetic nervous system that is called rest and digest. And when those things are in balance, that's when you have harmony. Everything, you know, when electrical charge, when the positive and negative is in balance, the lights come on and everything. But when it's out of balance, it shorts. You know, you get a shortage, nothing happens, or it blinks or whatever. It's because the positive and negative is not in balance. All right. So in Greece, it says, know thyself. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. It's inscribed at Delphi. Self-knowledge wasn't philosophy, but medicine, recognizing that that understanding precedes healing. And then in indigenous wisdom, songs, ceremonies, and circle restore connection to the whole. Illness means disconnection. So they use sound and rhythms and rituals to try and reconnect. Healing means remembering our place in the web. And we'll get into that when we talk about the web, that everything is connected in this web of energy. These weren't primitive beliefs. They were sophisticated understandings of human consciousness that modern science is only beginning to validate. And you also have to understand, it's just because you can't see something, or just because you don't believe something, does not mean it's not real. Okay, so that's what you have to understand. You have a certain set of beliefs that's really shaped from your past experiences. Okay, so whatever you believe now, it's probably was embedded in you when you were a child. So if I grew up in the 60s and 70s, so a lot of my beliefs are 60s and 70s beliefs. And a lot of people want to hold on to those beliefs, even though science has proven that those beliefs aren't valid, or you've already proven that those beliefs don't actually serve you. And I will tell you that your mind automatically tries to reject anything that challenges their beliefs. Okay, it automatically will do it. And you have to consciously allow your mind to accept new ideas. I'll just tell you, I've been a proponent of saliva testing for testing hormones. And even though people who who are doing hormone replacement, they're looking at blood values, or not looking at anything, or just looking at symptoms. Even when I try to introduce, hey, maybe this is a better way, why don't you look at it? It automatically gets opposition. I've tried to talk about this on some conventional medicine platforms, and always the first response is, I'm a quack, and I'm all of these things. And I'll tell you, if somebody sees this in conventional medicine, they're going to automatically reject this. But just because someone else rejects it does not mean it's not true. And even if you reject it, it doesn't mean it's not true, because these concepts have survived the test of time across multiple cultures. So I implore upon you to not automatically reject this way of thinking. Okay, so that's why I have those two personas, spiritual MD, and I have the hormone doctor, because I do believe that hormones will affect this, and vice versa. All right, so let me see, is it time? Yeah. All right, hey, it's time for a break. So let's go to a break, Rebel.
We are going to a quick break, so stay with us as we explore the Ageless Blueprint right here on W4HC Radio and Talk4 TV. An ancient secret with a modern twist for better health and vitality. Dr. Taylor will be right back. Taking care of your health shouldn't mean taking a handful of pills every day. At Taylor MD Formulations, they create doctor-developed supplements that combine the best natural ingredients so you get the results you need with fewer pills. Taylor MD Formulations is backed by science, designed for real life with real results. Less pills, better health, doctor approved. Shop now at TaylorMDFormulations.com and discover smarter supplements for smarter health. That's TaylorMDFormulations.com. We are back for more of Ageless Blueprint. Once again, let's join Dr. Taylor for more insights and research on the ancient secret to better health and a better life in modern times. Here's your host, Dr. Eldred Taylor.
Okay, all right, welcome back. And I hope I haven't turned too many people off. I hope that your mind is not like exploding, because I'm trying to, give you some new information. So I hope that this kind of settles into your brain, and maybe you don't quite understand it now, but maybe you wake up tomorrow morning and you're like, oh, wow, maybe he is right. Maybe if I change my mind, my conditions will change. So, I tell you to just give it a try. It won't hurt you. Changing your mind really doesn't hurt anything. All right. It doesn't cost you anything. All you have to do, which is not easy, is to change your thoughts, because those old thoughts, they come back. And when you try and change it, they're going to fight you. That's why I talk about meditation, so you can try and control or either ignore those past thoughts and allow those new thoughts to come in. So anyway, modern medicine's blind spot. Modern medicine excels at urgent care. surgery, and medication. I always tell people, hey, look, if I'm in a car wreck, do not start telling me about changing my mind and my thoughts and my feelings. No, take me to the hospital, fix my broken bones, give me whatever I need. But then after that, my real healing, that's what I'll take care of that. But I need you to take care of those acute problems, urgent care and surgery. And sometimes the medication is needed. Even the supplements. I know he's like, hey, that sounds hypocritical because he's talking about supplements. And he says all about the man. But sometimes you need to provide your body what it needs in order to correct itself. You may be missing some components. But once you give the body what it needs, then it can heal itself. All right. And I will tell you that your brain and your endocrine system can produce more drugs than have ever been invented. Okay, you have a pharmacy inside your brain and you can activate it with the right thoughts and feelings. All right. So we treat the lung, but rarely ask what unspoken feelings are holding back. We treat the heart. There's actually a science called medical intuitivism, where someone can look at a condition and they can use their intuition to say, hey, what emotions or what circumstances are you holding in that are being expressed through a disease or a symptom? But seldom ask what sadness or broken love came before this. That's what I'm talking about. Relationship, a loss of a relationship. It causes stress, and then that stress causes physical illness. We treat the gut, but forget to ask what worries you deeply, because we know when we're worried, we feel it in our gut and what's hard to accept. So your body is really trying to speak to you with these symptoms. So this narrow focus helps urgent care, but limits success with chronic conditions. Treating only symptoms, and that's what pharmaceutical medicine is all about, allows deeper issues to persist. So if you don't fix the root problem, then more problems are going to be manifest, because everything is connected in your body. So when one system is in disharmony, if it's left in disharmony long enough, it's going to cause disharmony in the whole system. All right. So while symptoms are merely messages from your body, urging deeper understanding. It's trying to send you a message when you have a symptom. All right. All right. Science rediscovers ancient wisdom. So we are starting to get on board. Okay. Modern scientific discoveries are now confirming ancient wisdom, providing the vocabulary and measurements to validate what mystics and healers have known for millennia. So that was the problem. We just couldn't measure it. And in science, we want to measure things, okay? And when you're talking about spiritual things, it's hard to measure. But we finally have the technology that we can actually measure what this ancient blueprint has been trying to tell us. And it's all about quantum physics. And quantum physics is the science that talks about energy and how we are all energy, and how energy is manifest, and how energy is transformed, and how energy is changed. And I will tell I if you've heard some of my other podcasts, but I had the experience with this. Okay. I graduated from college. I went to Vanderbilt a long time ago, over 35, 40 years ago. And I took molecular biology and I took physics. But back then, there was no such thing as quantum physics. So anyway, probably for the last 10 or 15 years, I had a dream that I missed a class and I really didn't graduate from school. Now I have the diploma. I really did graduate, but I had a dream that it hadn't happened. And when I got on this journey and heard about just the mention of quantum physics and what it was all about, I was like, wow, that is what that dream was about, is that I needed to understand quantum physics if I was going to move forward in my career. If I wanted to have I talk about at 65, I want to do something. I want to contribute more. It's about quantum physics and understanding that. So that was the lesson that I missed. And now I've been on a intense mission to understand quantum physics and how I can use that to help people have better lives. So anyway, consciousness influence physical reality, demonstrating that your awareness shapes your world. So you have to be aware of the power that you have that you can shape your circumstances and your reality. And epigenetics confirms consciousness, environment, and emotions alter gene expression, influencing your DNA. And I think my last 2 or 3 podcasts have been talking about epigenetics and how your consciousness, how you think, it affects the environment of your genes, and your emotions alter the expression, influencing your DNA. So you actually have control over your DNA. All right. So neuroscience demonstrates that meditation, I told you I've been on a crusade about we need to start meditating, and contemplative practices physically rewire the brain, creating measurable structural changes. When I went to that advanced workshop with Joe Dispenza, I saw it in real life. Okay, is that this meditation, just over 7 days, it was changing the biology of some of the participants that were at this conference. And then there's psychoneuroimmunology, the intricate link between mind, nervous system, and immune function, showing how emotions influence cellular immunity. So especially your immune system. And we all know it. When we're under stress, you're more likely to get a cold. Prolonged stress, you're more likely to get a significant illness. Prolonged stress will cause your immune system not to see these cancer cells, not to produce natural killer cells. These natural killer cells go out at night when you're asleep, when you're in deep sleep, and they look for potential cancer cells and they kill them. But if you are under stress, or if you're not sleeping well, or you're waking up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, you're not in that deep sleep area between 2 and 4 where your immune system can function. And I see so many people who deal with insomnia. And if we can get you back in balance, get your stress where it is at a normal level, then your immune system can work. And your immune system is there to protect you from future injury. Your sympathetic nervous system is there to protect you from a present danger. Your immune system is to protect you in the future. So if you're in a present danger, all the energy goes away from the immune system to protect you right now so you can run and fight. All right. All right. So ancient assertion, consciousness creates reality. Modern validation is with quantum physics, where it shows that. And so this is this thing called a double split experiment. I hope I can get it across to you, is that energy is a wave. Okay, we see frequencies on the radio. It's a wave. But when you try to observe it, it collapses into a particle. So when it's a wave, there's all these possibilities that can happen. Okay, so that's what we're talking about. Hey, you can change and you can have other possibilities. But once you focus on one possibility, then that becomes the only thing that can happen. So that's why you have to be open to all possibilities and not focus on one outcome. And that's all of what quantum physics is about, is that all possibilities rely in this energy field. And if you don't believe that, just think of how all the people in the world, that nobody is the same. That's because everybody is made out of these same building blocks, and you can put these building blocks in all different shapes and forms. And that's what creation is about, is taking that energy and collapsing it into different frequencies and different vibration patterns, and they create something that's physical. And so again, I talk about this in my Ageless Blueprint School, and I have to spoon feed it, because this is a total transformation of a way of thinking. Now, the problem is that for thousands of years, everybody understood that, and then we brought in modern medicine and Newtonian physics, and it made all of this. We just disregarded all of this ancient wisdom. But again, if you want new ideas, you need to read old books. Okay. All right. So healing through alignment. So remembering wholeness instead of fixing brokenness. I'm trying to see what time it is, you guys. All right. We
have 6 minutes.
6 more minutes. All right. So healing through alignment, remembering wholeness instead of fixing brokenness. True healing represents a fundamental shift in perspective. We've been taught that healing means fixing what's broken, eliminating what's wrong, fighting what's foreign. But authentic healing isn't about warfare. It's about remembrance. So just think, if you have the thought of you're in a war, what is that, a sympathetic nervous system feeling or a parasympathetic nervous system feeling? So you can't be at war with yourself. All right. That is just the foundation of stress. You can't be at war with yourself. So when you have a symptom, you need to not try and fight it. You need to try and understand it. So the old paradigm, disease is an enemy to fight. And so what is that? You're on a run or you're a fight. So it's sympathetic. Body as a machine needing repair. We are not machines. We are a soul that is inhabiting a physical body. Symptoms as problems to eliminate and not try to understand them. Health is absence of illness. So the new understanding is disease as a messenger bringing information. I will tell you, a lot of cancer patients will say cancer or some physical illness may have saved their life because it made them make a change. Okay, so if you understand your symptoms, it can transform you into something better. Okay, so a lot of people they have this life-threatening illness that they recover from, and it changes their life. All right, because they finally understood what that illness was telling them. Body as a consciousness expressing itself. Symptoms is guidance toward wholeness. That's what I'm talking about. Sometimes if you can understand it, it will help you to resolve some of the issues that you've been holding in. Health as a presence of coherence. So practices that reset the nervous system, meditation shifts brainwaves patterns from stress dominant beta to coherent alpha and theta states. And I think I've talked about that in some of my past podcasts. It creates measurable changes in heart rate variability and cortisol levels. And if you don't know about heart rate variability, just think, well, when I did OB, if you ever had a baby, heart rate variability on that baby, when the lines are really, there's a lot of differences in the wavelengths. That means that the body is responding to these minute changes. When the heart rate variability goes flatline, that means that the body is not able to correct itself. And we had to do a C-section if the heart rate variability went down. That was the indication that the baby was in trouble. Well, that doesn't change when you're an adult. We can look at heart rate variability patterns and we can see when the body is in trouble. And if you don't make some changes, if you don't get out of that environment, just like we had to take the baby out of the uterus so that the baby could survive, then that's what's going on with you. So heart rate variability has been associated with mortality. So that's very important. And that can be controlled with meditation and with something called heart math that allows you to learn how to become coherent. All right. So gratitude activates the parasympathetic nervous system. That's why it's so important to have gratitude, because now you can turn off the fight or flight and you can go into this rest and digest. And that's what allows you to heal. So it activates the parasympathetic nervous system when you practice gratitude. Triggering relaxation response increases production of beneficial neurotransmitters and hormones. And then also forgiveness, releasing the biochemical burden of resentment. That's a negative, stressful type of thought when you have resentment. Studies show forgiveness practices reduce inflammation markers and improve cardiovascular function. So when the inner world heals, the outer follows. So these aren't just feel-good practices. It's not new age practices. This is the ageless blueprint. This is it personified right here. They're precision interventions that reset the body's operating system from survival mode to thriving mode. All right. So this is the key. These are these frequencies. So these are these low-level frequencies that's going to get you low-level experiences or low-level circumstances. But these are the high level. And when you practice acceptance, gratitude, love, and peace, this is what brings healing. This is what allows the parasympathetic nervous system and the body to heal itself. These types of thoughts and feelings, these will bring you negative circumstances and reality, and we want to live here. All right. There's in Philippians, the 4th chapter, is talking about think on these things and you'll get the peace that passes all understanding. It's about what you think. All right. So low coherent states, they cause irregular heart or bad HRVs, elevated cortisol, suppressed immune function, inflammatory gene expression, and high coherent states create synchronized physiologic symptoms, optimal hormone balance, enhanced immune function, and regenerative gene activation. So this is a revolutionary truth. Every thought sends instructions to your DNA. You're not a passive recipient of genetic inheritance. You're an active participant in genetic expression. Your emotional frequency is a broadcast signal that tells your cells how to behave. High coherence emotions create cellular environments conducive to healing. Low coherence emotions create environments conducive to disease. So how much time we have, Rebel? I know we're almost done.
We are actually out of time.
Okay, I figured. All right. So hey, keep following me. Let me go back to where we are. So I need to say, where am I? Are you? Oh, here you go. All right, here I am. So yeah, we are out of time. I'm a minute over time. All right. So thank you so much. Hey, I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions, put it in the comments, and I'll keep talking about this because this is the Ageless Blueprint right here. So we'll see you next week.
Thanks for joining Dr. Taylor today. If you missed any part of this show, just check out the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Ageless Blueprint is every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time on W4HC Radio at W4HC.com. Together, we discover the ancient secrets to better health through science and spirituality made for modern times. Until then, feel free to check out agelessblueprintpodcast.com and TaylorMDformulations.com for more information.